Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us for the October Cannabis Industry Meetup. I'm Melissa and I will be substituting for Jennifer this meeting. Please remember to mute your microphones and enter any questions into the chat. We'll be answering them as we go through the presentation today. This presentation will be recorded and uploaded to YouTube later, so if you need to leave early, you won't miss anything. You can always come back and watch the recording. And it's my pleasure to introduce Hiram and Antonio Hernandez, the owners and operators of Good Life Collective in Astoria, Oregon. They will be going over the ins and outs of operating a dispensary and their experiences.
Thank you. Thank you for the intro, Melissa. Well, everyone, I want to thank everyone for the opportunity today. As far as, cannabis is concerned, we've been in cannabis now for a couple years. We have a store out in Astoria, Oregon. And one of the things that we started that made us get into cannabis was the fact that New York, we learned that New York eventually was going to be legal to sell cannabis. So we wanted to, kind of expand our brand. Our little background about the family, we come from the payment space. We've been in the payment space for over 20 years. And we just wanted to, expand more into the cannabis side of things. So one of the things that I did initially is I started doing some research on cannabis from an operational standpoint. My son, Antonio, he was doing a lot of research more on cuts, different strands and growers, the cultivating side of the business and things of that nature. So when I started this journey, I started back it was like 2017. And then in 2019, I went to the MJ Biz Conference, which I recommend you all go. I think it's in November 16th of this year, if I'm not mistaken. If you guys are really want a high level, conversation about cannabis, that's definitely the show to go. It's called the MJ Biz, is in Las Vegas, and I think it's November 16th to the 19th or whatever the case may be. But in any case, I, took a trip down there and I started, doing some networking and meeting a few people here and there. And I came across an investor that was looking to invest in the cannabis industry. And as you guys may or may not be aware, cannabis is illegal federally. So, that puts a lot of strain when it comes to banking, when it comes to getting loans, anything that has, obtaining property, banks being that they're federally insured. There's a lot of private money in the sector right now if you're cash strapped, which a lot of people are to break into the business because it can be very, very expensive to get into the cannabis business industry. So in speaking with that investor, he mentioned that that there's some dispensaries out in the West Coast that are looking to get out, and so he connected me with a law firm. And what they did is that they just kind of broke down the different types of licenses within state. So the two different types of licenses, I'll share them with you very quickly, is there's a free will license, and then there's like I want to say like a lottery base licensing. So the difference between the two, the 5 states at the time that had a free will state was Oregon, California, Arizona, Colorado, and there was another one that out there that kind of, my mind is a little fuzzy. Everywhere else where cannabis is legal, so meaning as a free will state, basically all you have to do is just basically apply for a license. You have to, kind of do your due diligence or whatever, answer the questions, whatever. And you can apply for a license. The license costs X amount of dollars. And then basically, once your name gets picked, then they give you your license and you pretty much take it from there. The lottery, quote unquote, model is, which I know Chicago in specific was one of the states, that what they did is that there's basically they were saying, hey, we're only going to give out X amount of licenses. And whatever that number is, you have to meet a certain quota or criteria in order for you to qualify, both from a financial standpoint and from a, a background standpoint in order for you to get a license. And at the time, a lot of people were telling us that New York was going to be one of those lottery states. And it made sense for you to get some type of experience in order for you to be put up on the totem pole. So that's when we decided to say, hey, listen, we really need to get a dispensary in order for us to be in a more competitive position when it comes to New York State. We've since learned through Melissa's team that New York State isn't going to be a lottery. It's going to be pretty much eventually everyone is going to be able to get a license, which I think that's a beautiful thing. That's the way it should be. But in any case, back to obtaining Good Life Collective, we were able to identify a store, older gentleman that wanted to get out of the industry. And we were successful enough to obtain, not only the license, we also obtained the real estate, and we took an existing, and it was an existing operation. It was a little distressed. It was low performing. And I'm glad to say that we were able to turn that store around fairly quickly. And actually, I'm actually going to add that we just learned probably around 30 minutes ago that we got in our town, Astoria, we got voted #1 cannabis store in the area. So we're very proud of that, So so basically, once we obtain the store, the challenges that we faced, immediately, just opening up a bank account, that's a challenge. It's a lot of work. And cannabis technically it has to be a cash business, because what it is that being that it's illegal federally, the bank by law have to report all of those deposits to the feds. And a lot of banks don't have the appetite to do that. They just don't want to do that, So if you go in telling a bank that you're not a cannabis store, you are whatever, real estate or whatever, property manager, whatever it is, and the bank finds out about it, then they shut the account down, and then they give you your money back and everything, but you have nowhere to pretty much put your money in, and that's a real threat in cannabis. There are a lot of vehicles out there, a lot of companies that they will work with you, but it's expensive, for me to, if you have a regular retail store, normally the bank give you money for you to have your money there with the bank. And cannabis is different. They actually charge you a monthly fee, which can be pretty significant, like $500 a month. And they charge a percentage of every cash deposit that you put in, and it can be up to 1%. So that could be pretty significant. So that was one of our bigger challenges that we still face to this day, in the industry, So what we're forced to do is we use most of our cash to just buy product and do our payroll. And that's how we're able to dump cash, out, because we really don't have anywhere to put our cash, at least legally, you know? So that's a big challenge that, that we didn't really that we knew about, but it's really real. It's a real situation when you really can't bank comfortably, and you don't know what to do with, with any excess cash that you may have, and we find ourselves just buying product, just so we don't have cash, and, a lot of cash in the actual business. So, you know, that was a early on challenge once again, when we first got it. The other one, that we learned is that, um, with the feds, you don't get a lot of write-offs, so, um, they pretty much, the, I'm sorry, I was reading the question there that the person wrote or whatever, but in any case, um, with the feds, you can't write off a website. You can't write off, you can only write off the cost of goods. So if you buy a pound for $2,000, you know, um, you can only write off the portion that you sold. So out of that pound, if you only sold a quarter pound of it, that's all you can write off. So the other 3/4 pounds, you can't write them off in the actual, in your taxes, in your federal tax return. So that's another aha moment, that we have. A challenge that I see in New York now. In Oregon, our store is set up more of a deli style store. So what deli style means is that someone comes in, they want, a gram, 2 grams, we'll weigh it out for them, and then we'll package it for them. That's what's called deli style. So when you operate under that model, because also with the feds, you cannot write off the wages for selling, right? So if I'm a bud tender and I'm making whatever, $20 an hour, and and I'm on the floor just selling cannabis, none of that salary is written off. The only part you can write off is the packaging, you know. So in New York, they're saying that all the product is going to be packaged already. So when it comes to the cannabis store, everything's going to be packaged. So, you don't really have any wiggle room with wages. So with Oregon being more of a deli style, you can kind of respectfully play with those numbers. So you can actually turn around and just say, okay, well, John worked 40 hours, but he was only selling 20 hours of the time. So the other 20 hours I can actually write off, as, as a cost of goods, but the other 20 hours I'm not. In New York, being that it's already prepackaged, what are you going to write off? There's not much, there's not a lot of wiggle room there. That's why one of the benefits that we have is that we own the real estate. So you can play around with that in a way where you can just say, hey, okay, yeah, the bud tender worked here, but he also cleaned the floors and stuff like that. And it's a separate corporation for the actual real estate part of the business. And then we have two corporations. We have a corporation for the real estate part of the business. And then we also have a corporation for the actual cannabis business. And we were told to do that by our attorney and both our accountant, because that's the way you can play with the wages when it comes. And when I say play, I mean, I'm not saying we're doing anything dishonest, but that's the workaround, is a better lack of word, when you are doing your taxes specifically from a federal level. Um, those are some of the very quick things that we've learned. We also learned that everything is inflation when it comes to cannabis, when it comes to getting building insurance, anything that you need. As soon as you say you're a cannabis store, what cost $100 now costs $500 because it's a cannabis business. They know that we have our our hands tied, you know. And again, I'm not here to scare anyone or, or make anyone second guess anything. We don't regret anything. I think cannabis is a great business, is a great industry. It's definitely on a move forward path. I think that the challenges that we're facing today is something that we will not face 5 to 10 years from now. So I don't want to come across as I'm, trying to talk anyone out of joining the industry. Those are just challenges that we faced as a business early on that we kind of knew, but we didn't really knew that, how disruptive that can be to the day-to-day, operation. Does anyone have any questions so far? Or?
No questions in the chat, just a couple comments on a particular credit union saying that they're going to hold the money, but they won't do loans. I haven't confirmed that. Oh, we do have a question. How was the store low performing, and what is the top thing you did to turn that store around?
Antonio, you want to tackle that, or are you there? Hello?
We have another one if we want to wait for him.
Yeah, he's probably a bit, okay. I mean, so no, I can actually answer that. So basically, it came down to product. And what happened is that the quality of the product just wasn't there. We knew that the clientele was there because when we went to stake it out, first off, the historic, before he acquired the business, it was profitable. When he took it over, and if I'm being honest, he just jumped into cannabis. He thought he was going to make money hand over fist just because he had cannabis, and just didn't really put the time or did his research as far as quality and things of that nature. And that's one thing that my son did, is that he prided himself. He made the right connections. He got together with the right growers, and we just turned it around. And in addition to that, a lot of people, they like deals. So we started doing, a lot of good deals. We do from 9 in the morning to 11 o'clock, we do 30% off all online all online orders, and they can pick it up at any time. So those are, that's, a big reason how we were able to turn that store around, is by quality and just, doing deals and things of that nature.
Okay, can you clarify that you have paid out your payroll in cash? That's how it's spelled.
Yeah, so basically, so this is the way it works. So we have a payroll company, right? And we call in the hours, we do all of that stuff. But once they give us that detail report and it says John is owed $1,000, then we give John $1,000 in cash. But he pays his taxes. So our employees are not 1099s or anything of that nature. It's just in the normal world, you got direct deposit or you get a check and then you go cash it. So that's kind of like how that's what I mean by using the cash for payroll.
Okay. We have a couple comments that maybe you could comment on. There are some places that will run your HR/payroll with direct deposit. Panacea is one at the top that they could think of. Has that?
You can do that, but think about it though. If I don't have a compliant bank account, right? You can get direct deposit, but if I can't I can't go to the bank, to a bank with $9,000 cash and say, hey, this is from a cannabis store. You just can't do that unless the bank is okay with it. And if they're okay with it, 9 times out of 10, they're going to take a percentage of that cash because they have to report it to the feds, and they're going to charge you a hefty monthly fee in order for you to have a compliant cannabis bank account, So that's why, we pay in cash. I mean, if we can keep our money in the bank, and a transparency cannabis account, then yeah, I agree with him. We can definitely do ADP or do direct deposit, Gusto, they will all do it.
As interest rates will continue to rise in the next 2 Fed meetings and it impacts discretionary spending added to oversaturation in the market, what do you think consumers will be looking for as they make their decision to purchase?
Specifically to cannabis, our take on cannabis as medicinal benefits that it has, setting that aside, at the end of the day, a big portion of it is recreational use. And again, I'm not trying to discount the medicinal part of it, even though when the people that do use it for medicinal purposes, there's not an insurance company that's going to cover cannabis. They're just not, So what drives people to the store, it's always comes down to who has the better price, and that is what we've seen in our business. That's how we've been able to maintain is that people are saying, okay, well, look, I want to partake in cannabis, but geez, I don't want to break the bank, So from a consumer standpoint, that's what we found. We found that giving people deals on cannabis is, it just goes a long way.
How are the taxes withheld?
For cannabis, so the way it works is, and that's actually a good question. So the way it works is there is a tracking system in Oregon. It's called Metric. New York is using another system. I forgot the name, but it starts with a B. So what that system does, it tracks cannabis from seed to sale. Okay, so it starts with the cultivator. So the cultivator basically puts in metric. When I say metric in New York, I think it starts with a B. So they put down in metric, hey, we have this strain, Gelato 41. Okay. And then once the product becomes, yields, they have an OLCC, which in our case will probably be OCM, Office of Cannabis Management. They'll go in there, they'll take a few buds or whatever, once it's tested and everything, then the cultivator has to disclose, okay, well, I have 10 pounds, 20 pounds of Gelato 41. Let's say it's 10 pounds. So now they have that in their metric system. Now we are Good Life Collective. Now with the cultivator, we decided that we're going to buy 2 pounds of this Gelato 41. We negotiate the price between us and the cultivator, terms, whatever it is. We might buy it outright. He might give it to us for 30 days, whatever agreement we have with the cultivator. Then that cultivator transfers that product from his farm to my dispensary. Now, once it gets to my dispensary, then basically I have to accept it in metric. I have to say, yep, I actually got the 2 pounds. Okay. And I have to tell metric how much I paid per gram for these pounds. Now, once that is done, our POS system integrates with metrics. So that's very, very important when you're shopping a point of sale system. You have to make sure that it integrates with the system that New York State is going to have. If it doesn't integrate, it isn't the end of the world, but you're just creating more work for yourself, because then you have to take that data from the point of sale and reconcile it with metric. When it's integrated, meaning it communicates one without the other, at the end of the month, it spits out exactly how much product you've sold and the amount of taxes that was collected. You then take that amount, whatever it is, and remember, you're collecting that from the customer. Oregon is 20% all in, 17% state, and then 3% county. I think New York State is a little less than that, but they also are going, but you're going to have to pay for the THC test. But in any case, in Oregon is 20%. And then basically it just kind of tells you what it is. You should have the money somewhere, bank or cash or whatever. What we do is we have it cash, we go get a money order. And then we go to post office, get a money order, and we just mail it out to the state of Oregon. And in the state of Oregon, you got to do that every month. And then every quarter, you have to then, so they want their money every month, and then every quarter you have to file. So in the quarter, let's say you did whatever, 100 grand in taxes, but you paid, 30, 30, 30 or 35 or whatever each month, then, basically when it's time to file, you probably won't owe anything because you've already made those partial payments throughout the month. So that's how the taxes are calculated. So.
Okay. I think it's BioTrack.
Yeah, BioTrack. Exactly what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's the best advice you can give in negotiating with wholesale suppliers for cannabis you sell retail in your dispensary?
Everything, and again, another great question, everything is relationship based. In the beginning, when we first started, vendors, they kind of treat you like kid gloves, they just says, okay, well, I'll give you this or whatever the case may be. But it's all supply and demand, so Oregon is such a competitive market that it's very simple to negotiate with a wholesaler or a cultivator when it comes down to product. But some of the things, that we use, obviously we, if we can, sometimes we don't buy the whole crop, but, we may say, hey, we're going to buy, 10 pounds from you guys. We want a great deal and we're going to give you, half now and then half in 30 days, or if we have cash in hand, we'll say, look, we're going to give you this, we want the 10 pounds and we're going to, we want them for 1,200 a pound and we got your money right here. We got 12 grand. Here you go. You want it? Yes or no? And then you just kind of have to like feel it out. There's some cultivators that they're well known and they know what they have and they don't budge in pricing. The only thing they will do is they'll say, hey, look, instead of selling you a pound, I'll sell you half a pound. And normally they don't do that. Normally a lot of those like exclusive strands that we carry, they won't sell you nothing less than a pound. And in the beginning, we could not sell a pound of that specific strand that quickly, so we were able to negotiate, these bigger strands and say, hey, let's do a half a pound of this and then let's give me half a pound of that. You're not in the area, no one's carrying you where we're at. We're going to put your, your name out there. So why don't, it's a win-win situation for us, And so that's kind of like how you have to kind of go around those type of things, Cash isn't king all the time. Sometimes it's just about the relationship and, depending where you're located, the cultivator might see as an opportunity for him to get other dispensaries with their product. But one of the things that we do is when we try to go exclusive with the cultivator, we try to say, hey, if they have like product that's 100%, we know it's gold, we're going to try to say, hey, we're going to buy your product, but we don't want anyone else around here to have it. You're exclusive to us. And in return, we're going to spend X amount of dollars for you, in any given month. Some will do it, some will don't,
Okay, questions are just flooding in now. What metrics or analytics are you using to determine when and how much to stock or restock?
That's a good question again. So we got a new POS system that gives us that reporting, because the reporting that we had prior from the POS that we did acquire didn't give us that data. So we still have the training wheels on that. But one of the things that we do is when we find ourselves when we overbought, so we mark it down in layers, right? So let's say we started off at $15 a gram for the first 2 or 3 weeks. Let's see how that goes. Oh, you know what? It's not moving that quick. Okay, well, let's take 20% off, or we'll do like a bundle deal. We'll say, okay, well, it's $15 a gram. Let's do an eighth for $40, so the customer can save, $10 or something like that, so those are kind of the stuff that we do. Once, New York gets developed, it's pretty much, the market is going to pretty much dictate what strains are hot, what strains are not. And it's just a matter of just going out and making sure that you get, those strains, listening to your customers too, we're big on data. So we collect, we try to implement a check-in process where we'll get their phone number, their email address, and we send coupons, via text messaging, letting them know, hey, we have, you know, uh, $50 ounces, we on Fridays, we do $50 ounces, and that's been pretty big for us. And, we get a lot of people that just wait until Friday and they'll just buy a couple ounces for $100 and, good quality bud, and they're on their way. It's not exotic, but it's, some people, they don't want the exotic. They're okay with like a mid, strand, so.
I'm gonna skip one real quick. This other one's related. What POS system are you using?
We're using one that's called Blaze POS. There's a bunch of them, man, and they all have their pros and cons. We had Green Bits before. Again, that's not a poor one. But we're using Blaze is the one that we're using now. One of the questions that they have to ask is if it's integrated with, what is it? Biometric is the name of the
BioTrack?
BioTrack. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So when you're shopping for a point of sale, just, one of the main questions is it integrated with BioTrack? And if it isn't, then, me personally, I wouldn't get it, so, because you can't calculate your taxes, man, you're not going to be in business. So, that's something that has to be, that's a no-brainer, but it's Blaze POS.
Okay. Going back to the taxes, how does John withhold his taxes from the $1,000 cash payday?
Yeah. So again, we have a payroll company, right? It's you can use ADP, whoever you want. They don't restrict cannabis business or anything. We just use the same company that the old owner has. It's a company out of Texas. I think it's called Payroll Specialties, whatever. Again, they give us the portal. We put in the hours. They withhold the taxes and everything. So the tax portion, my tax portion, comes out of the bank account that we have on file, but the actual amount of the check owed to the employee or the bud tender, we pay it in cash. So Just everything works as it does in a regular business. The only difference is instead of you giving the employee a check, you're giving them cash. That's it.
Okay, did I hear correctly that New York intends to become free will in terms of its application for a retail license?
That's what you said, right, Melissa?
Well, it's not in the law that New York State is going to have a cap on licenses. And as of right now, we've been told that there will not be. There has been a little bit of confusion because of the recent conditional licenses that do have caps. The recent card program that just finished did have, I believe, a 150 participant cap, but that's just for that program. That's not, once the general licenses are released, it has not been said there's going to be any caps, and it's not in the law that there will be any caps. And I'm hesitant to have a definite no because they change it. We were told that nonprofits were not going to be eligible for the card program, and then they were eligible for the card program. So things have kind of changed last minute. But as of right now, there are no caps to licenses. There's still going to be application process. There's just not going to be a limit.
Yeah. And in Oregon, there isn't they just put it's a tongue twister, but a monetarium, or I think is what you call it, where they're not issuing any more licenses right now because there are just too many of them. Now, our situation with our dispensary, you can apply, but it takes years for you to get approved and all of that, So what we did is we actually bought someone else's licenses, and so happens that it came with the real estate, the actual business, but there are people right now in the state of Oregon that have licenses right now that they're reselling them. They cost $5,000 and they're selling them for like $100,000 because, probably more now because they put that monetarium, but basically they're saying, hey, you can wait a year, to get your license. You can get your license right now. If you have the retail storefront, whatever, it's just going to cost you, this amount of money. And there's people that will just do that because the way they view it, I can go into business right now versus waiting. I'm going to spend $95,000 more than what I would, but I think I can make that money back up in a year versus, waiting a year and save the 95,000. So that's how some people view it.
And someone just asked, will there be any free will in terms of cultivation? It's for all licenses.
It's for all licenses. Yeah, it's for all licensing. Yeah. So, So I think in Oregon, they just did dispensaries. I don't know if they did cultivating too. They probably did everything, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong. And I will say this, looking at New York, I'm actually pretty impressed with our law. It's pretty flexible, I think. You can smoke outside, you can have consumption lounges, you can do deliveries. Like it's pretty robust. I'm actually surprised that New York, did it that way. Normally we're, even though right now to roll it out, everyone is like on eggshells. Everyone is like, no one really wants to mess up. But I just think that, after this card program, I think just the floodgates are just going to open, eventually, and everyone's going to be able to get in.
Okay. What was this total startup cost? What licenses did you have to get? What products do you sell other than straight cannabis, edibles, vapes, pre-rolls? That's all one question.
So you know, being that we bought, you know, the real estate with it, and the inventory and everything, you know, our total cost was, you know, was up there. It was almost $1 million. But again, that came with the real estate and everything of that nature. So, and basically, as I mentioned, we did took some money from a hard money lender and to help secure the real estate portion of it. And then pretty much the rest, you know, the few $100,000 just was hard cash. As far as products sold, we just saw anything that has THC in it. Obviously, we do a lot of wax, or we dab is what it's called. We obviously edibles, flower, pens, patches, you know, and uh, papers, pipes. You know, we also have like stash jars, you know, things of that nature. So, um, you know, we have quite a bit, you know, quite a bit of stuff. We also uh we do sell, you know, like we partner with this vendor locally where he has like cupcakes, like killer cupcakes, and they're pretty cool, peanut butter Oreo, but they look like real exotic, real, you know, so we sell those cupcakes there as well. You know, people come in, they want to get the munchies, so they want a cupcake, you know. We also sell like exotic snacks, like instead of regular Frito-Lay chips, we get the Frito-Lay chips from Japan, you know, and we, you know, just kind of sell those um, as well. And we also sell merchandise. You know, we sell Good Life, our shirts right here. I have one on there. We sell hoodies and things of that nature. Sometimes we give them away. You know, we do giveaways as well. And, you know, so it's kind of like how we do it. As far as New York State, you know, I don't know how the laws are going to be written. Do we know that, Melissa, how the, you know, the eviction laws, you know, for tenants that are cannabis, has that even been addressed or?
Sort of. I mean, it's officially decriminalized.
Right.
Like even though like home grow is legal, or it's going to become legal 1 year after the first sale at a dispensary. That's how
Mm,
it's written in the law. Um, no one's really stopped people from growing it because
yeah,
and you know, once tax revenue is on the line, maybe they'll enforce it more.
right.
Um, but no, at the moment.
Okay. My you know, one of our concerns is that, you know, think about it, guys. You know, you don't own the real estate, you're renting or you're leasing, you get this killer location, you're killing it, and then your lease is up, you know, you really don't have any protection, you know, to kind of, you know, for your investment, you know. Um, so I'm just wondering, is there going to be any laws or whatever that can protect, you know, a cannabis store, you know? Obviously, the landlord will have to go get a cannabis license and things of that nature. So, you know, it's not going to be as simple as I'm just going to leave you and I'm going to just take over, you know? But, you know, one of the things that I learned is that you definitely want to try to buy the real estate, you know, instead of leasing, if you can, you know, that way you secure your investment. You know, if you're going to put hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line, you know, you kind of want to, you know, in some cases, millions, um, you know.
Yeah, there is zoning law that is going to have cannabis specific
Mhm.
law in that. I know Rochester just put out their precursor. It hasn't been finalized yet.
Okay.
So there's definitely some legal protection. I would assume you would just have it in your lease.
Right. Exactly.
Um,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's what you would want. Yeah.
you would just have it in the lease agreement right then and there.
Mhm.
Um,
I saw someone said something about security cameras.
going down. Oh, that's the newest one. What was your investment into security, cameras, safe?
Yeah, so we it came with the actual location. It already had the cameras, already had everything, in it. But if we had to pay for that, man, that's a good question. I would say, don't quote me, but I was at least 10 grand, because those safes are pretty big. And then the camera system, 10, 20 easily, I would say.
Yeah, and security actually is part of the application process. It's mandatory
Yeah.
in New York State.
Oh yeah, no, in Oregon as well. You gotta have a security system, and it has to be recording at all times. So when we took over the location, the old owner had a hard drive. He didn't have it in the cloud. So when he had the hard drive at his home, so he had to email OLCC, which would be OCM in New York, saying, hey, I'm disconnecting my hard drive because I'm gonna, give it to the new owner. Well, when we plugged it in, it died, it broke. We had no clue, we don't know what happened to it. So we switched it to the cloud, immediately. We just paid whatever it is, the monthly fee or whatever, to have all the security, in the cloud. That way we don't got to worry about a hard drive breaking or anything of that nature, but at least in Oregon, that's what we had to do. We had to actually advise them, and you have to provide a security plan as well. And it has to be very detailed. Even when we supplied the existing security, because remember, we're just taking over the location. So the security plan that we submitted originally was an old, because the owner remodeled the store. So when he gave us the floor plan, he accidentally gave us the wrong one. So that kind of held the application up for a couple weeks, because they were saying that, well, this isn't the correct layout, so yeah.
What does your engagement with your legal team look like? Like, how often do you interact with them, and for
Yeah.
what reasons?
Legal team, minimal to none. Now a bookkeeper, accounting, every month if you could, to make sure that, you have everything on the up and up, as far as, the legal team, yeah, it's illegal federally, but, for the most part, look, you're just selling cannabis. You're not doing anything out of the normal. OCM pretty much is going to dictate what you can and what you cannot do, so that's nothing. Our concern is making sure that the state get their taxes, and whatever we can write off, we can write off. Whatever we can't, and we have to live with it. And that's that. So, and that's my opinion, guys. That's my business model. I don't need to contact an attorney to say, should I sell this strain or whatever the case may be. The guidelines, the do's and don'ts are pretty clear. I'm sure OCM will have a website just like OLCC. If anything, you can email I'm sure there's a way you can, I know with us, we can email OLCC and we can just tell them, hey, look, this is what we want to do. Can we do this? And they'll tell you, yes, you can. No, you can't. I'm not going to pay an attorney for that. That's just my opinion,
You already hinted at this a little bit, but how did the interior design process of your dispensaries work? Did you consult an architect? It sounds like you already had one set up.
Yeah, so we already had set up. We did some changes to it. And what we did is we visited other dispensaries, throughout Oregon, and we also went to Vegas. When we went to the MJ Biz, we looked at dispensaries, we looked at different models, and we just kind of took a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and we just kind of, twisted it to our own liking, or whatever the case, our own layout or whatever. So, yeah.
Are you
But getting
limited?
an art, not to cut you off, but getting an architect, if it's a full build out, I highly recommend an architect. And if you do go to the MJ Biz, there'll be architects there. And companies out there that specialize in, redesigning dispensaries, and you can, talk to them.
Are you limited to buying your products from licensed cultivators? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah. Anything else is uncivilized.
Yeah, here in New York, we did get some concerns about how through the card applicants, thinking
Yeah.
that they're only going to be able to sell what's given to them. No, if an official cultivator or processor and you don't like their product, you could just not buy from them. You could find someone else. It'll
Yeah.
be not many options to start with because there's only these conditional ones at the moment, but you're not limited to having to take someone's product. You could find someone else who's licensed.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And that's where eventually New York is going to be. And listen, from a cultivating New York, my understanding, there's only outdoor grow, there's no indoor grow. That sucks, um so there's challenges there. I don't think that from a, and I mean this respectfully, because I don't know who cultivators on the call or whatever. um I don't know if the quality is going to be there right away. I think it's going to take us a couple years to really, nail down the quality of the indoor grow. And and again, no offense to no cultivator who's on this call or anything of that nature. I'm sure that, there's going to be good, good quality. But that's just my, when you look at places like Oregon, even California, that has cuts that, unbelievable, unfortunately, I can't bring product from Oregon to New York legally, and sell in my dispensary. So, you know, but if that was the case, then yeah, I mean, we'll be rocking and rolling right off the bat. But unfortunately, we just gotta wait for the market to develop, So even if you're not in the first round or even the second round, you know, you may not see the amount of money, but I think from a longevity standpoint, I think you're going to be in a much better position to just, work with other, cultivators and things of that nature. So
That was actually the next question, was about with the short growing seasons on the East Coast, do you foresee them expanding to indoor grows?
I think it has to be indoor. Indoor grow to me is the best, I think that's when you can control, the temperature, the setting, the environment, everything, Oregon specifically, they have some very good sun grown flower that can pass for indoor grow, but other than that, I think that's where it needs to be. It needs to be indoor.
I think part of it is that a lot of the conditional licenses were people who are already growing industrial hemp. So it was the fastest. What's the best way to recruit, hire, and retain bud tenders? I hear the turnover is high, finding and keeping good people.
Yeah, good help is hard to find as an understatement. We were very, very fortunate with the staff that we acquired from the dispensary. You know, and to them, the way they put it, they died and went to heaven because the old owner didn't really care. He was just focused on margins and things of that nature versus we're coming in with a plan. We're, you know, we have a vision. We're here. We're not just, you know, here to get, you know, to stay in a store area. We want to grow. We want to go to New York. We want to grow all over the United States. So, you know, they bought into that, and, you know, we've been staying true to that. In New York, you know, the are we going to find a bud tender with 10 years experience or 5 years experience? Probably not. But I think that as information becomes available through cultivators and things of that nature, because it's knowing your product, right? You know, so one of the things that, you know, we do is we make sure that when we engage with a cultivator, we want samples. You know, I think, you know, I don't, you know, all of our bud tenders, they smoke. They either smoke flower, they do dabs. The old owner told me, said, you be smoking should be a requirement in order for you to get hired, you know. um, because what we do with cultivators is we make sure we get samples. Hey, you know, he say, hey, this is good. It's a high tester, whatever. Like, okay, well, give us, 5 grams, 1 gram of each, and we give it to the bud tenders and we say, hey, try this, you know, and they'll give us the feedback. They'll say, you know what, that's great stuff. You know, some will say, it's all right. It's not, you know, and that's kind of like what we do. And one of the things that we have that we're fortunate with is that we have one bud tender where he's very knowledgeable with dab, meaning wax and stuff like that. He's very good at it. So we lean on him to make sure that we have the best, dab or wax, in the town. My son is very knowledgeable with flour. So when it comes to flour, that's his baby. He handles all the flour. So he makes sure that we have, premium bud and medium bud. He doesn't like low tier. That's what it is. He rather sell mid tier for low tier, before he'll have a low tier bud in the shop. And we also have someone that's very good with edibles. So when it comes to edibles, we kind of lean on them. Hey, what are we missing here? And you know, they're very, informative. And again, customers as well. We let them know, we ask them, hey, what are we missing and things of that nature. But as far as, that's the best way to bring people in. And then just continuing to train them, keep them excited, pay them well, treat them well. And that's what gives, that's longevity. We don't, we only, since we acquired the store a year, we lost one person, and it was just simply because they wanted a career change. It wasn't for them. It had nothing to do with us. But other than that, everyone is on board, and we also have family involved in the business, so that helps as well.
Okay. I posted a link to our YouTube channel that has all archived recordings. Someone asked if this was being recorded.
Okay.
Okay. Do you use a third-party cash handling service for bank drop, security, etc.?
No, but there are services out there. They're not that expensive. They have, there's a couple things you can do. They have armored trucks, obviously that does that. And they also have there's actually companies, transporter companies, which is like an ancillary product that's what they do. They pick up, cash, and they drop it off at the bank for you, because some banks, your bank, maybe, we're in Rochester, right? So let's just say your bank may be in Poughkeepsie, that's 4 hours away. That's the only bank that took you. So when you need to do a cash drop, you either jump in your car, go down to Poughkeepsie, make a day out of it, or, you go, through a cash person. But we don't use one. We use most of our cash to pay the bills and things of that nature. And when the extra cash that we do have, you know, we just find a way to put it somewhere.
Okay. Did you invest in marketing / advertising or just word of mouth?
Originally we did a website, we redid the website. It's a storyofgoodlife.com if you guys want to check it out. We invested in that. We did a lot of word of mouth. We printed out like little business cards / brochures. We walked around town. We gave them, our, our business card with our name on it. And then the back was an actual coupon, 20% off your first order. We say, hey, just check out our, our thing was, hey, do you guys consuming cannabis? Yes, we do. No, we don't. Oh, yeah, we do. Okay, look, well, have you heard about store, Good Life? Oh, no, I haven't. Or yes, I heard, whatever. Have you been there? Whatever. Hey, here's a 20% coupon. Come check us out, whatever the case may be. And then, once they come in, then obviously they see the store. They're like, oh, you know what? I like it. They treat me well. And that's kind of like the marketing that we did. We almost engaged with marketing companies, to be quite honest with you. We just haven't found a good one yet. That's one of our to-do lists when we go to MJ Biz, is to find a good marketing company, and just kind of take it from there. A lot of the keywords when it comes to Google search, when it comes to cannabis and stuff like that, I know that Google and the feds, they're not too kind with those words. So, you have to kind of go about it on an organic approach. And again, we just haven't really found the right partner where we can just say, okay, look, we're ready to, invest, thousands of dollars monthly consistently on, getting our name out there. So.
Okay, only one left at the moment.
Okay.
Do you think if it becomes decriminalized federally, it will lead to distribution from other states?
Absolutely. I think that's, right now we have a big bill, in the Senate right now, which is the Safe Bank Act, where if that passes, we will be able to go to a regular bank. When I say regular bank, ESL, Canada, whoever, open up a bank account. And they're also looking to get it out of the Schedule 1, if I'm not mistaken, in the federal. Because right now the feds look at marijuana just equally like heroin, controlled substance. That's how they're viewing cannabis, and that is so wrong. In many ways, it's sickening the way they're viewing cannabis. So if they can get those two things passed, I think that maybe not right away we can go from state to state. I know that they're talking about being able to ship from one legal state to another legal state. That's something of very interest, to us, being that we are hopefully becoming a multi-state operator. I think that's huge. So that's kind of like what we are, the feds being on board is going to, make things a lot more easier for everyone, for sure.
Okay, that was the last question. Anybody else? Nope. Is there anything that they haven't asked that you think they should ask? I always ask this one.
Yeah, that's a good, I think we've pretty much, covered, all the bases. I guess I have more of a comment. I don't, and we never got into cannabis for get rich quick scheme or anything of that nature. That's never been our goal. We're looking more on the longevity side of things. Um, you know, I think that, if you're going to invest in cannabis, you have to kind of look at it from a long-term perspective. Because I think that's where you're going to see the best results. If you, again, and that's what happened with the person that we bought the business. He thought that he was just gonna put, his money, $1 million on the line or whatever, and he was gonna flip it and turn it into a whole bunch of millions in a couple years. And that's just not how this business works. There's a lot of red tape, a lot of challenges. But the good thing is getting in now early is that, you know, you can dictate where the industry is going. And that's kind of like why we got into it. We didn't really get into it for the money. We got into it more for, the longevity of it. And I would highly recommend that you guys take a look at it that way, because if you're looking, again, to get rich quick, this isn't the business for you right now. I would probably tell you, well, just go to the black market or the illicit market, and you'll have way more success doing it that way than doing it this way, for sure. And I mean that respectfully. I will never tell anyone to do anything illegal, but that's just the reality of the situation.
Speaking of long-term planning, first year revenue expectations.
Yeah, it just depends. We again, where we're at, we're under 2 million store. And that we're okay with that. We're okay with that for now, until we're able to get into, until we find a good system where we can just open up we're going to take what we learned here, all our pitfalls, and we're going to fix them, and as we are now, and then take it to the next store, and then become more efficient that way. So but that's kind of like where we're at. We're under a couple million, and it depends on the area. New York, it depends when you get in. Right now where we're at in Oregon, we're not the only game in town. We probably have 5 stores within a 3-mile radius. And a couple of those stores are very big stores. They have, I want to say like 12 stores in Oregon alone, and then another dozen in California. And there's another one that have probably 6 stores in the state of Oregon alone. And they have the ability to really crush us if they really want to. But one of the things that we did is we said, look, we're going to beat them with with work ethic. And our message is just a lot more powerful than theirs. We care about the customers. It's kind of like, you can have a Pizza Hut in front of you. If you're a pizzeria, you can have a Pizza Hut that's a chain pizzeria, but that doesn't mean that they're going to make more money than you. And it's not about the money, but it's a business. But you just have to, people will come to you not only because you have better pizza, but just because you have that customer service experience. And that's something that we hold very dear. We treat our customers like gold. How you doing? How's your day? We try to remember their name. We try to remember what they last bought, even though the point of sale system keeps it, in there, and that's part of, our gimmick, our training. We really do care, and people love that. Sometimes people just come in to say hi to us. That's it. They don't buy it, and we're okay with that. We're okay with that. You don't have to come here and buy something every day. You can come here and say hi to us. We'll give you some water, and when payday comes, when you're ready, you're ready. So that's pretty much our model. And if we also have customers where, they're respectful, they don't have what, they're short a little bit and they want some, they want to consume, we'll find a package for them. You got $5, I got a joint for you, and that's kind of like, and people, they love it, so, or they appreciate it at the very least, so.
Okay, last call for questions. Well, I would like to thank you, Hiram, from coming and answering our dispensary Q&A, as this turned out to be. A recording of this presentation will be posted on YouTube on the Rochester Central Library website. I also want to take a moment to plug our cannabis workforce development event that's coming up on October 19th. It's an in-person event at the downtown Rochester Central Library. It's from 10 to noon. The first 2 hours is a formal presentation, and then the last 2 hours from noon to 2 is an open house with potential employers. So if you're looking for a bud tender, maybe you could find one there. But yes, that will be on Wednesday, October 19th.
Okay.
And yeah.
And thank you guys. Thank you. I appreciate, you guys' time today. We're passionate, about cannabis, and, anything we can do to help you guys along, please don't hesitate to give us, to reach out to me. My email is Hiram JR, that's HIRAM JR, and that's at Astoria, ASTORIA, goodlife.com. Our website is AstoriaGoodlife.com. You can also follow us on Instagram as well, AstoriaGoodlife.com. Instagram is Astoria Good Life. I'm sorry. Please follow us. Yes, that's it. Yep.
It didn't link on me. And of course, you could always email the Business Insight Center or reference email, and we could follow up any questions.
Sure. I'll be more than glad to help you guys anywhere along the line.
Could you type your email? Sorry.
How do I do that?
At the bottom, on the bottom ribbon, it'll have chat. If you click that, it'll bring the chat up.
It says participants.
Polls, chat.
Oh, chat. Okay, gotcha. Right here.
And I'm not sure if the chat gets recorded as well, but I'm going to wait until your email is up.
Got it.
Okay. Thank you all for coming. Have a wonderful evening.
Likewise. Have a great evening, guys.
Good night. Thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye.